Every year, thousands of missionaries serving all over the world return home from honorable missions. They've experienced difficulties, shared testimony, and witnessed miracles. And who will hear those amazing stories? A few hundred people over the course of their life? These are stories that uplift. These are stories that encourage. These are stories that inspire. On Return with Honor, we aim to share these stories with the world. Welcome to Return with Honor. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Return with Honor, the show where we interview recently returned missionaries. I'm Chuck James.
I'm Christine James, and tonight we are interviewing Talin Schick. And, welcome to the show, Talin. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on the show tonight. Let's start with the easy question. Where and when did you serve?
I served my mission in the California San Fernando Mission, and I served from 2012 to 2014.
For you, kind of coming into the mission field, what was kind of the biggest culture shock, or the biggest surprise that you had when you got into the mission field?
The biggest surprise definitely is a lot bigger city and everything than I'm from. I live in Utah, so coming down to Los Angeles was a pretty big change. Lots of different people, lots of different cultures, so kind of experienced it all, within a few days. And that was definitely the biggest shock for me. I wasn't quite ready for that, and just how many different, types of cultures and religions and just different people that there were.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It is kind of a melting pot of cultures and languages and all of those kinds of things.
I was going to ask you real quick. So you served 2014. When did Bakersfield Mission become a mission? Were you here when that transition happened?
Yeah, I was there. So that was, that was about halfway through my mission. So I think it was in 2013 that they created it. So I was about a year out, and they split half of our mission and created the Bakersfield Mission. And then I went and stayed in.
Okay. But you.
Yeah. And so I stayed in the San Fernando Mission. Yep.
Okay.
So how was that for you as a missionary, knowing that, now they're forming this new mission, and I'm going to get, possibly I'll stay in the mission I was called to, but now I might end up in the new mission. How was that experience for you as a missionary?
It was a pretty crazy time, that's for sure. Everyone was trying to figure out where you were going and who you were going to be with. I actually thought I was going to stay in the Bakersfield Mission. I was serving in Palmdale at the time. And that's what was part of that mission. But I ended up actually getting transferred down back to the Valley. But I just remember, everyone was talking about it and worrying about it and having a new mission president come and new leaders and everything. And so just trying to figure out what was going on. But I also just remember, too, it was like half the missionaries that they all went up to the other mission, and you never really got to stay in touch with them again or anything. A lot of the guys that I served with in the MTC, and about half of them were up there. And so, we didn't see each other until the end of the mission again. So it's kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that probably isn't thought a lot about, but when you are on the mission, you do get to know the other missionaries, and you kind of look forward to those times when you run into them at zone conferences and things like that. And certainly when all of a sudden half of you are in the other mission, that's got to be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely get close with a lot of people after spending 24 hours together. And yeah,
absolutely.
Even afterwards, I still hang out with a lot of the guys that I served with. So still really good friends with them.
Yeah, that's great.
That's cool.
So you were talking kind of about all the different cultures and all of those things. So what about food coming from Utah and into California? What were some of those food experiences for you? The good, the bad?
All right. The good food, I learned to love Korean food. There's quite a few Koreans. There was a few branches in our mission, and they would always go all out when they made food and have these huge buffets and everything. But I loved Korean food. It was really spicy and different, and, had the octopus and all that stuff, but I really loved it. And I didn't think I would. The food that I didn't really like, there was several Filipino families too, in a few of the areas that I served in, and probably the worst thing I had, at least I think, is it's called balut. It's like a 14 day-old like fermented duck, and so they just crack the egg open, and then you drink the juice and then eat the duck out of the egg. I didn't really like that much, and they had some other things too, and I didn't think it was that good, but I still tried it. It's an experience.
Yeah, it was an experience you had to at least go through, huh?
They made everyone do it.
I didn't even know they did that. My sister-in-law is a Filipino, and I've never heard of their family doing that. So I'll have to ask her about that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Try it out; they love it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a missionary come back from a mission. Actually, he was our first interview that we did was Drake Job, and he came back from the Philippines, and I've heard him talk about that. And if it's any comfort, he says that from what he's heard, it's not good in the way States, but it's better there. So,
all right, well, that's good then.
Yeah, you might have to go to the Philippines to get the full experience the way that he says it, I guess. So, kind of heading into your mission, what were some of the, or maybe the challenge that you faced getting to your mission?
So I had a few. I guess just kind of at that time, you're kind of right in the middle of school and everything. At least it's kind of changed now with the being able to go out when you're 18. But I graduated high school and then kind of had a year. So I was doing school and working and stuff, and just kind of right in the middle of that, and just wondering like, should I really go or and drop all this and leave things behind. I was studying. I'm a pilot, so I was working on becoming a commercial airline pilot, and so I had to kind of leave all that behind and leave it for 2 years, and forgot a lot about it, but ended up coming back and it's fine now. But at the time it was pretty tough decision. I had a lot of that, and then a lot of sport opportunities and things to play, and so just had to leave a lot of that behind, and family and friends. So it's all it all kind of plays in together. It all hits you at once when you're really deciding you need to go.
So how did you come to that decision? How did you make the decision that you were going to leave that behind, at least for then, and go on a mission?
Always growing up, I always told myself that I was going to go. I never really second guess that until the time came. It was kind of like, oh, do I really want to do this? But there was I had a lot of great leaders, really great bishop, and a young men's leader who really helped a lot. And just explaining how great of an experience it was, and how important it is. And my dad also, and my brother too, was a good example. He went a few years before me, and so that's kind of how I ended up going, and just really felt like I needed to go.
Yeah, examples are a big deal. I think in our lives, especially when it comes to missionary work, it's good to have those examples that we can look to, and I think that's one of the things that really does help. I know for me, all of the people I heard of going on missions and their experiences really helped me make that decision. So good reminder to those of us who've gone. We got to share those experiences. Mm-hmm. So while you were there in the San Fernando Mission, how would you describe how the church is doing? Is it growing? Is it struggling? Is it changing?
It's definitely changing a lot. Kind of depending on where you were at, it was different everywhere. Just with the different cultures and things, just kind of where people lived at. Some of the wards were doing really good and growing a lot, and some of them were getting a little bit smaller. A lot of people were moving away and things. But so I'd just say changing a lot. It was always different everywhere that you went. The LDS community is pretty strong in most of the areas, especially around in the Santa Clarita area. But and then the valley and stuff, it just changes all the time. A lot of people move and, come and go, and, so definitely changing.
When this is not on, this is a question that just came to my mind. Did you have to deal a lot with people in the politics of like same-sex marriage and things like that? Did that come up a lot while you were here in California?
It did.
On your mission?
Yeah, it did a lot, actually. A lot of people were concerned with it because just especially, kind of in the times of that, Mitt Romney was running for president, and there was just a lot of media about it. The Book of Mormon play was out. So a lot of people knew about the church, and that was kind of the thing they knew about was if we didn't allow same-sex marriage. So people definitely asked us about it all the time on the streets, and I even taught a few people that struggled with that, and had to overcome that, and so it was a constant for sure.
Would you mind explaining? Because I think that that's a big thing that I'm trying to teach my seminary students, is that they need to be prepared to know how to speak about that. And so would you mind sharing how you talk to people about that or approached that subject?
Yeah. First off is you have to understand is everyone's situation is different. So, you have to treat it as that, so that I wouldn't say there's like one way to do it or anything. But, it's just treat each situation, the way that you should. But the most important thing is that, as most people don't understand, is that they think we just like hate them and outcast them and don't let them do anything, or, we just kind of throw them out on the street. But it's really, we do care about those people. It's just, we don't believe, that God's commanded us to marry, not in the same sex. So, and that's the way you just have to really help people understand, is that, God still loves you, and that, everyone in the church still loves you too. But, it's most importantly that God feels for you. It's just, it's another sin that someone may struggle with that others may not. And, we just have to come from that understanding of that. But just, it's really important for them to feel that love, and, that we do care, and not just throw them out, and, that God's thinking they're horrible people. So.
No, I think that's a great message. And, because it really, ultimately, it is that love that overarches all of it. And even when we may not agree, that doesn't mean that we don't love. And so I think that's a great message. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Maybe along those lines, what were some of the challenges that you faced on your mission, and how did you deal with that? How did you overcome that?
Challenges? Oh, a lot. Kind of speaking on that same thing too, is a lot of people had a lot of kind of ideas and things about what the church was and what we believed in and things like that, or what they thought we did. But it was really too, just kind of going back to what we talked about, is like just how it was so culturally different and stuff. But everyone you talked to came from a different background or a different religion or something. You talk to one guy on the street, and he's a very Christian man, and goes to church every Sunday. And then the next person you talk to is a Buddhist. And then the next person is, Jewish, and, and then the next person doesn't believe in God, So you really had to be, it was challenging for sure. You had to really know how to talk with people and understand all the different kinds of perspectives. So I just remember learning that, as I had to learn a lot about, other people and their religions and what they thought, to be able to talk with them. So I remember that was a big challenge for us though. And, just getting people to be open to us and being able to talk to us, instead of just turning us away because they thought, we were just mean and, didn't want to listen to them. So.
I think that's great. And as you were talking about that, it made me wonder, how did you deal with that? Because as missionaries, a lot of people don't understand that you don't get to go home at the end of the day and search the web on, Judaism or something like that.
Yeah.
So how did you learn about other people's beliefs? Just
by asking them, any opportunity that we could. Especially, it was a little bit easier, with people that we were teaching, and allowed us into their homes and things. But we just really wanted to get to know them and what they thought about, and really a lot of the first few times that we teach people, that's really what it's all about, is getting to know them and what they believe and what they think and just kind of where they stand at. But I just remember that was probably one of my biggest helps, just learning about all those different religions and things, was just asking about it, and then just you kind of talk it over and talk it with different people, and you could kind of get an understanding of where they're coming from and everything like that. So,
no, that's great, and very important in missionary work to understand people and what their perspective is and where they're coming from. So, yeah, no, thank you. Can you share any of your most spiritual experiences with us?
Yeah. There's one experience that really stands out to me a lot. and I think it's good for especially those that are either on missions or preparing to go, but even for us at home too, a lot too, is just how to like recognize the Spirit, and I think we hear a lot of these stories, where you hear a voice or something comes down to you and like tells you need to go over here or do this. I don't know. I've never really experienced a lot of that things. It doesn't work that way with me. I kind of get other thoughts in my head. And so I remember it was around Christmas time, and me and my companion were walking in this apartment complex, this big one, and it was raining that day and everything. It just been a bad day, and no one was talking to us or anything. And, it was raining, and it never rains in Southern California. So it was really bad. And so anyway, I just remember we were walking down the street, and we were just about to go to dinner. And, then we saw this door, and it had this giant Santa Claus like taped to their door. And it had like Christmas lights everywhere. It just looked like a really cool apartment, and we were just like, man, that's awesome. Like, we just got to go knock on that door and we just got to go talk to him, So we walked over there and we knocked on the door, and the guy comes out and, shuts the door behind him and just is like, oh my gosh, like, what are you guys doing here? And we're like, oh, just, seeing what's up, like what's happening. And, just introduce ourselves. And he's like, well, I'm really busy right now, but he's like, come back tomorrow and come and talk to me. And we're like, okay. So we come back tomorrow, we weren't really thinking anything of it. And the guy's home, and he invites us into his house. And the man, he was a member of the church, but he hadn't been since he was about like 16 or 17 years old. And none of his families was members or anything. And he was like, how did you guys find me here? Like, no one knows where I live at, no one knows where I live. And we're just like, I don't know, and then he was just like, oh, the Spirit led you here. Like, I knew it was do it. And we were just like, yeah. And the Santa Claus kind of got us there too. But, now looking back at that experience, I can see that, that's how the Lord was directing us to him. But anyway, he was just so excited to see us. And I remember he got on the phone and he called his brother. He lived in Northern California and was a bishop up there, and was like, you'll never believe who's at my house, and took pictures with us, sent it to all of his family. And he was just ready to start coming back to church and get his family involved. And it was really neat experience too, as he went into his room and he pulled out all of his things. He was preparing to go on a mission at the time, actually, when he was about 17. And so he had all of his old scriptures and his notebooks and everything. And he was like, I was about ready to go. He's like, I was ready. And he's like, but then he had some complications in his family, and he had to start going to work and things and start providing and helping out for his family. And he's like, and I just kind of got caught up in the world things and just, fell away from the church. But it was just really amazing just to see that one moment that he was just ready to come back. So definitely a really neat moment in my mission.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Any other experiences you wanted to share?
Oh man, there's a ton. I can go all night. I mean, just so many like that, just so many little things that, just even talking to people, even though they don't, necessarily take the lessons or start coming to church or anything. But I just remember so many times just, seeing a guy working on his car or something, or just standing there and it's like, man, that guy's got a cool shirt or a cool car. Like, I want to go see his car, and that's what would get me over there to talk to him. Because we really needed to be there, and that's how the Lord worked through us. He didn't tell us to go there, but he just, he gave us those hints and ideas.
Made you attracted to something over there.
Yeah. He's like, get over there. So
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, were there any stories that you refrained from writing home about?
Yeah. There's been a few. One I remember, well, there's a few that I probably still haven't even told a few to my family. One of them, though, that I remember I didn't write home about was I was with two brand new missionaries. It was like their first week out, just a couple days, and we were just kind of in a really bad neighborhood, and where we lived, it was just really bad. But we were really good friends with a lot of our neighbors and things, and they treated us really good. And I just remember one night at home, we were laying there. It was about like midnight or so. And all of a sudden, the room lights up with flashing lights and everything, and all the cops are there. And And so we wake up and they're on like the loud phone and everything, and like telling these people to come out, and we look out our window and there's like 15 police cars in our apartment complex, and they come down and they kick down our neighbor's door, and they're running everywhere and arresting all these people who's been doing a bunch of stuff in there. So they did that. So I definitely didn't write my mom about some of those stories. Let her know where we were actually living at.
Yeah, those are the ones you share when you get home, right?
Yep, exactly. Lighten them up a little bit.
So we know that, we hear all the time that the missionary work is more successful when members are involved. So what role do you think that members play in missionary work, and how can members be good member missionaries?
One thing I just remember being on my mission was one thing that really helped out with the members was them coming out to lessons with us. It was so big, and we loved it too, just having them. It was so important to have someone just from the ward and someone they could really connect with that was actually, someone that's their age, into the same things that they are, and just really like a friend. That helped us so much. And, it just helped those people really kind of come around and feel more comfortable when they come to the activities or church or anything like that. So that was one thing that I definitely liked. And then, now being home for almost 2 years is just talking with a lot of people, is still just being a missionary as a member. You don't have to have a name tag to talk about, church or something with anyone. And I just find opportunities that come, every day. And, some of them I don't take, and some of them I just kind of brush off. But then, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, I probably should. Or I get other people that tell me you should. And, and that's what's really important and really big. But the other thing is too, is at least, my situation, I know a lot of people too, is they have either someone who's less active or non-members in their family. I think it's probably the hardest thing to do is to share the gospel with people that you love. I think it was a lot easier to go up and talk to complete strangers than it is to talk to your cousins or your uncle or something about the church. At least it is with me, but that's something that I've been working at and trying to. And I think if members do that, everyone's got some sort of family member that could use some help, and they're the ones who are going to be able to reach them, and who's going to be able to touch them and be able to help them in their lives. And I think that can be able to really help the missionaries and their work that they do.
Do you think that's because you're so emotionally charged or just so emotionally involved, and that's why it's more difficult to talk with your own family members? Or
I think it definitely can be. I think the scary thing is when you talk to a stranger and you invite them out to something or talk to them, you probably never see him again. But your uncle, you're going to see him at every Christmas party and every Sunday dinner and everything else. So you don't want to say anything dumb or to offend them or things like that. But I just think the thing to remember, is just as long as you ask, nicely and, by the Spirit and things, is it all works out. And, most people don't really just, if they say no, they say no, so.
Yeah, I think sometimes as members, we're afraid of offending someone, or we're afraid that it's going to change the relationship, and really, if you ask someone to go to church with you, or you ask someone to take the lessons, it's not really that different from asking them if they want to go to a movie with you. It's we don't say, I'm really worried that they're going to say they don't want to go to the movies with me. We don't do that. We just say, hey, you want to go to a movie? I'm going to a movie. And if they say no, you say, okay, well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when it comes to sharing the gospel, we get more wound up about it. And
for sure.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, most of the time, the other person really does respond that way. They, if they don't want to go to church with you, they just say no, and it's not a big deal. So. Mm-hmm. So we need to overcome that, I guess, and like you're saying, just overcome that hesitation and open our mouths a little bit.
Yep.
So, how has your mission changed you, or the way you see the world?
Definitely changed me a lot. I noticed coming home, one thing that the mission definitely taught me a lot, and the one thing you kind of get to take home is everything that you learn, and just kind of the experiences that you had. But just all the study and everything that you do, and just through all the things that you saw, is you just really understand is like that it works and that it's all true. So I think sometimes we just kind of get into the routine of saying, we should read and pray and do all that, but that stuff, it really works. And if we really do it, our lives are so much better. And, the way it's definitely changed my perspective kind of on the world is I see people a lot differently. As before, like, I just kind of was like, there's just another guy in the grocery store. Like, I don't know, I'm just not going to look at him or say hi or anything. But now, I just kind of look at everyone and think, like, what's their story? Like, what are they struggling with? What are they having a hard time with? What's their hardships in life? And, what are they doing? And just everyone's got something to share. And so that's definitely one way you just think differently about people, and you see them as actually people, with feelings and, families and other things like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very, very true. And, it's hard to understand until you experience it, how you can love a whole people,
Yeah.
But you do. When you get into the mission field, that's what you learn. You love everybody that's in your mission. You love all of those people. And that's not something, I know for me, not something that I experienced before my mission, but certainly I felt that way since my mission because I learned it there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's almost like you guys, when you go on your mission, you become, because, when you're little, you're very self-oriented, and then when you go off on your mission, you really have the experience of being other-oriented. You think of others more than you're even considering your own things, and so I think, well, that's what I've noticed anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree.
Bring that home with you.
Yep, trying to. Gotta try every day.
So what advice would you give to those who are preparing for a mission?
Oh, well, definitely one thing I wish I would have done a lot more. Is go to the missionary prep classes. I think those are the best things ever. The church has just got them outlined perfectly. What you should do. I think those are the best things because it's going to kind of encompass everything that you need to learn and study. But it's really, I wish I would have read Preach My Gospel a lot. I really hadn't picked it up much before the MTC. I kind of thumbed through it, but I wish I would have really have read it and understood it. I think it would just prepare you a lot better for, what's in the mission field. But then is also too, is just like develop a regular study of the scriptures and praying every day. That would have helped me a ton too, just knowing the scriptures. Cause I just remember being in the MTC, I just felt like I didn't know anything. I was so lost. I was just like, I don't know what anyone's talking about. Like, I don't know how to teach and do any of this. And you just feel kind of overwhelmed a little bit at first. So if I would have, just put a little more effort into that and preparing. And I know now on the church website on the LDS.org, they have really great resources that the missionaries can do before. They have a whole like tutorials and everything and just kind of what to expect. That really helped. I think that would help a lot too. I didn't really know what to expect or, kind of how it would be in the MTC or in the mission field. I just kind of went into it blind, but I think that would be really good. And they have all the videos and everything on there. And I just would say to watch those and just do everything that you can to prepare.
Is that, you said it's on LDS.org, is that for everyone to see, or is that when you like get your mission call? Because I know my son, when he got his mission call, he got all these things that he needed to watch and prepare for. But
yeah, so I know they send them to you, when you get your mission call, but I'm pretty sure anyone can go on there and look on them, and they're open to anything. They're on the app and stuff too. There's lots of all the videos and stuff are all on there also, so anyone can look at them.
That's great. So if you could gather up all the missionaries that are in the world serving right now and give them one piece of advice, what would you tell those missionaries?
Finish with no regrets. That's what I would tell them. That's what I always told myself, is I didn't want to finish with any regrets. Because it kind of gets down to your last, couple weeks and you're going home and you're like, man, I wish I kind of would have done this or that, is just really do it. Just work as hard as you can all the time. Like, you can just put your full thing into it because you realize how short of a time it actually is. And so just live without regrets.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. How about for parents? What would you tell parents? How could they help their young man or young woman prepare to go on their mission?
Honestly, like a lot of just like the regular everyday life things, like my mom teaching me how to cook and clean and all that stuff. That was like the best, you know, and it's just those little small things you really don't think about, like when you're preparing for your mission, because you're kind of more on the spiritual side, but you really need to learn how to do that kind of stuff and learn how to go shopping and, you know, how to make food and all those little things. So parents definitely do a good job at that kind of stuff, and it really does help because that's just one more thing if you don't know how to do that, it just stresses you out and it's harder to do. But the other thing I was just gonna say with parents too, you know, is really the emails and the letters and everything really do make a huge difference. It's the lifeline on your mission. You know, you love hearing I always loved hearing what was going on at home and, you know, and just kind of what everyone's doing, but, you know, and just what they said to me and the encouragement and stuff that they gave. And it's huge. I still have a lot of the letters.
No, I think we've heard that same kind of sentiment a couple of times from missionaries of how important that actually is to, you know, to get letters specifically. We've heard, you know, emails are nice, but letters, you know, maybe not every time, but occasionally getting that physical letter. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's that physical connection back to home or something.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Yeah. No, thank you. Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you wanted to talk about or share?
I mean, nothing that I can think of. It was great, though. It was an awesome experience. So anyone who's thinking about it should definitely do it. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. The mission is incredibly rewarding, and I think, you know, we've heard that from you tonight, how it's changed the way you see things and the way you approach life a little bit differently, and the love that you have for people. It hits on a lot of aspects of your life.
Yep, definitely.
Well, Talin, thank you for being on the show tonight. We really appreciate it. You've been a great guest, and we really appreciate the experiences and the stories that you've shared with us.
Oh, well, thank you guys.
It's been a lot of fun catching up with you as well. It's been
I know.
In 2 years. It's crazy.
It's been a while for sure.
Well, thanks again. Tune in to our next episode when we will have another great interview with a recent return missionary. To check out past episodes of the show, you can visit our website, returnwithhonorshow.com, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you or someone you know would be a great guest for our show, let us know by sending us an email at rwhshow@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time on Return with Honor. Have a good night.